Now we're going to take a look at technically what you just saw. It's somewhat simple, especially if you skip the first part of the switch. So I'm gonna show you that in a second, but first you just have to set it up on your phone. Usually I have a preset set up with my phone number, and then my phone number is technically the reveal. That way, very easily, I can go through the cards without having to look at my cheat sheet on my preset that I created in Chronos. I can just very easily get all my cards. I can call my phone number to the bottom, transfer them, to the top, transfer them to the bottom, and now I can do the trick. All I did was I created a preset with this set of numbers. Now, if I go into my preset settings here, we'll see that I have it called Swindled of Sorts, and that's because the move that we're using to switch the cards is by Paul Curry, and I believe it was in his Worlds Beyond book. And I should also mention that this idea comes from Lloyd Barnes, so thank you so much for sharing that with us. Once we go inside of the preset, I'm going to click Edit so you can see, I have it set up for this specific performance here for milliseconds. But if you're doing it with your spectators where you're handing the phone to the spectators so they can do the stopwatch, you could actually select the total. That way, when they get it, they have to do a little mental math to remember that, that number. We're gonna stick to milliseconds here because that's what we did in the performance. And then just notice that I have 54, 78, 33, 95, and 86. So I have it right here, all those numbers set up. Once we click Save, once this is selected and we exit out, you're now going to be utilizing that preset. So there's one little tiny thing you have to do, and that is reverse the order of your stack. Because when they use the Swindle of Sorts, they're actually going to be reversing the stack. So we just have to reverse everything like this. And now I'm going to turn this face down. You'll notice that on the back of that top card, I actually have a little pencil dot in the corners. I actually have it on the right-hand topmost corner, but that's because I'm left-handed. And the reason for that mark is because when I spread, I know that this is where I need to get my break. So that I don't waste time counting or looking for anything. It's already there. It has the little pencil dot mark. So as they are selecting those cards, I'm just waiting until I see the card with the dot, and that's where I keep my break. So once I have my break, we're ready to do the switch. But I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself. So before you do any of this, just leave the cards on the table. We don't need them. You're just going to have your spectators select a random number. And we're going to do that with the stopwatch. So you already know that it's going to start. We're going to leave those 3 seconds because that's the setup that I have. Then once they do it, you'll see that it's going to be 54, 78, 33, 95, and 86. All of your spectators are now going to be thinking of all of those numbers. You can get rid of the phone. From this moment on, if you just consider those moments as randomly selected, they may forget how the numbers were generated, and it'll feel to them more like they were just random. So now that everybody's thinking of a number, you pick up the deck, and all I did is I started shuffling the cards while making sure I didn't shuffle these. So I'm doing this kind of weird, messy looking shuffle. Nothing's really happening from underneath, as you can see. I'm just taking all the cards from the middle and just making it look like it's messy. This pack is staying perfectly as we need it. From here, this is just to show that the order of the cards is not important. So the selection is going to be a little bit more free because they're not thinking like, oh, maybe he wants me to get that card or maybe he wants me to get this one. Because we just did a complete mess, now it doesn't matter. Now this is somewhat not important. So when we have them touch the cards, you want to just leave a few cards from the top so they select from the top. Remember, we don't want them to go here at the bottom. So they'll touch one, when they touch another one, you can even tell them, you can even touch more than one, 2, 3 at a time. Boom, they'll take this, and you're just going, once you see that you're getting closer to that bottom edge or your pencil dot, that's when you stop. You have enough cards. It doesn't matter if it's actually 10, 8, 12, as long as it's just a bunch of cards. We're not really calling attention to the amount of cards because it doesn't help the trick at all. So once we close this up, we're now going to switch the cards utilizing the name. It escapes my mind, but we'll put it on the screen. And all it is remember, I have a pinky break right here, and this is the exposed view. Once you have all the cards up-jogged from the deck, you're going to kick those cards off to the side closest to your thumb. You're then going to re-grip the deck from the top with your middle finger and thumb in the back, and all you're going to do is take these cards out. So you're going to take these cards out. That's what we're trying to simulate. What's actually going to happen is these cards are actually going to ride underneath those. So it's going to do this, and then I'm going to strip those cards out like that. What that looks like is this. Here, we strip those cards out, and now I'm going to spread these cards on the table. So this deck needs to go above the cards they actually touched. It is in that motion that I grab those cards as I spread, and then those packets, the ones they selected, will be switched with the ones that you have in your preset. Now, from here, you say, oh, I don't even want to touch these cards. You take them, and between all of you, you guys are going to select the order of those cards. Okay? So, now we tell them, here's what's going to happen. You're either going to deal a card or switch a card. In order for them to really understand this, you can grab some of the discarded cards and show them. So you can either deal a card or you can switch a card, and they'll see you switch that card. Now, once let's say they deal and then they switch, what you want to do is make sure you leave the card out-jogged so that when it gets placed down, it's almost like a memory that the card was switched or a decision took place right here. And then that's going to set us up for a shuffle at the end as well. So then you can tell them, okay, do you want to deal or switch? Deal. Do you want to deal or switch? Oh, I'll switch. Okay, so they switch. Once again, we do this. Let's say they switch again. We do that. And then they deal, and then they deal. Now here, it's a very clear picture of what took place. They can see when the decision took place and the order that they selected. Let's go into a little bit more detail into that swindle of swords. As you can see here, I have separated the cards from king to ace so you can very easily follow the order. What is actually happening is the order is just being reversed. Nothing is actually mixing. So you'll see that if I deal, we have 1 or ace down here. Now, if I were to deal the 2 would be on top of the 1. But watch what happens when I switch them. So when I switch them, the 2 is still on top of the ace. What's really happening is the switch is as if you were dealing 2 cards. So if I deal is 1 card, or if I deal 1 is 4, if I deal 2 is 5. If I do the switch, we're switching, but then we're putting both cards at the same time, so the same thing is happening. The 4 comes down, then the 5. And it doesn't matter whether I deal or whether I switch. It's always going to be in the same order. We then are going to use a technique from Juan Tamariz, which is almost, there is no shuffle happening here, right? But by telling them, go ahead and finish off that shuffle, it creates the illusion or the feeling that more mixing and more shuffling took place than it actually did. We just really reversed the order of the cards if you truly think about it. So they're going to push that. We tell them, here, I don't want to move any of the order of those cards, close them up. And what was the number you were thinking of? Here, actually, before you get into it, you can recap a little bit so they know random number was generated. They chose everything. They chose the cards, blah, blah, blah. And now all of those cards, 54, 78, 33, 95, and 86 will take place. So this is